It's time for me to live up to my family name, which I just made up.
Hey guys, MasakoX here. It is Christmas Eve, and I hope you're all doing well and are ready for some holiday what-ifery. It's been a spate of good boy vibes on the MasakoX channel, as it is one of those merry times of year and a good way to round out not only the year of 2019, but the decade. My, how far we've come. But not as far as the subject of today's What If. Despite the noble and quite refined air that we get from this character, he was not a good boy. Not at all. But we've managed to sort that one out using the common trope of reverting the allegiance of a character onto the side that is not only seen to be good, but also one of the more marketable sides. You can make a lot of money out of it, and you know that to be true, really. We have sought to seek a different tale, using a slightly different means of going about things from normal. So we are asking you today, on the eve before Christmas, what might have happened if Cell turned good? If you're new to this series, then we must point out that the Cell that we're talking about here isn't the exact same perfect Cell that we see in the story. That tale had been told, and he was beyond the phase of redemption, since he had a lot of Frieza to tone down. And yes, I know, we have just done a story about Frieza turning good, but that took a very wild spin on things and getting all thematic there. If you haven't watched it, go and check it out, by the way. But this Cell that we're alluding to is the one that was given the chance to grow from the state it was in the sublab of Dr. Gero. From there, Bulma took it in and gave it the chance to gestate and then become its own Bugman, who loved hugs and became a firm friend of Trunks and Goten, and then later, the majority of the Dragon Team. It took a while, certainly, but he was able to do it. This is all turning out to be quite good for Cell, just like today's sponsor. Probably not so good with the segue, but oh well. It's NordVPN. I have used this service for years, and I'm pleased to hear that they have now upgraded their services even more, and are becoming 100% owners of the VPN servers that they use, a first in the sector. I need to be protected, you see, especially when I've done my holiday shopping, and Nord's got my back for sure by offering me thousands of servers in Europe, Asia, America, and Africa that let me take control of my internet experience. In just a couple of clicks or taps, you are on your way to private internet browsing, and now you can manage your passwords with the companion app NordPass, which you can try as part of this special limited offer. If you go to nordvpn.com/Masako, you're able to get 81% off a 3-year plan plus 4 bonus months of NordVPN and access to the NordPass app for free. That's worth just shy of $200 in savings there. So give NordVPN and NordPass a go by visiting nordvpn.com/MASAKO and use the code MASAKO for a chance to save some cash and take control of your internet experience. Thank you. In the last part, our good boy Cell, whom we refer to as Android 21, not related to the actual 21, was left with a pretty hard parenting conundrum. In previous chapters, we found out that he had become a little broody and wished to have offspring of his own, and he is then made a father with his own 2 children, Mita and Condra. For a while, all was well, but things start to get a little complicated when the truth about his origins becomes apparent. That it wasn't explained properly, or indeed at all. Mita and Condra were asking him about Perfect Cell, and truth be told, our good boy 21 doesn't know too much about his own facts of life, when he really should. The only thing that he can recall being told himself was the fact that Perfect Cell was an evildoer designed to absorb his siblings, and that Gohan defeated him, but allowed Hercule to take credit for it, and the monster's defeat and everything else. Essentially, he was explained away as any other typical baddie within the Dragon Team. However, this turned out to be somewhat of a foolish decision in the long run. To gloss over their past like that was becoming clear to 21 and his family that that's no good. They have no idea of their ancestry, and that is the subject of today's part. In reality, 21 was unable to answer his children's request, simply dismissing it as not really worth their time right now, as there were more important matters at hand which concerned the safety of the world. But his offspring weren't that naive. Mita and Condra looked to each other and don't look impressed. They've heard that excuse so many times before, and it's clear that they aren't going to get a straight answer anytime soon. It's not like their father doesn't want to, though, it's just that he can't in good faith. Before he can approach his children with a suitable answer for their very valid question, 21 decides to confide with someone that, to his knowledge at least, knows a lot about this creature, and that is the person who has just gatecrashed the past for the third time. He wants to make use of the young man's time in their timeline to get some answers. I mean, it's not every day when the chance to find out more about your origins and your past just so happens to fall through a time warp, or indeed any other day for that matter. So while everyone else is occupied with the whole Goku Black situation and what to do next in terms of countering the foe, 21 is more absorbed, pun not intended, with his own mission. He's busy trying to find a way to give their children a satisfying answer about their origins that won't scare them, or make them feel ashamed of themselves for existing. After all, he could barely understand it himself. He decides to approach Trunks during one of the breaks he takes during his training with Goku. Future Trunks is still trying to process the fact that a being that is practically identical to Perfect Cell is sitting down next to him right there, looking curious and inquisitive. He can sense that 21 is a little impatient and apologizes for the staring and the confused expression.
Oh, don't worry, I've heard far worse than that in my time, believe me.
He is of course alluding to the times where he had to struggle with his siblings, as well as the constant mistrust from Vegeta on previous chapters. 21 then decides to drop the small talk and get to what he needs to know. He asks Trunks how was his life since he left their timeline when he was just a little thing, as the last time he had heard about him, being in this year, was right after the Cell Games, the byproduct of his byproduct. Although Trunks was aware that they had spared the embryo whilst they were looking for information about the other androids when he was last here, he had no idea about what had happened to it afterwards, as, he was keen to get back to his own timeline to counter 17 and 18 there. He then admits to the Cell look-alike that seeing him reaching his perfect form like the original still makes him feel a little uneasy, but Trunks tries to make his feelings not take over his better judgment. 21 nods and thanks the time traveler for his tolerance. It's much quicker than he could have hoped. Trunks then shares the story of how in the rebuilt future he managed to take on Deborah and Babidi with Shin's help, and how Earth's peace has been jeopardized again by the appearance of Black.
Ah yes, Deborah. I know all too much about him. I drank him one time.
Wait, what? How did you do that?
It's what I do. Or at least, did. Once.
21 twiddles his thumbs as he shouldn't have been proud of drinking someone. 21 then nods to change the subject and says that he can relate to exactly how Goku must feel right now, knowing that there is an evildoer with his face just going about things. He then thinks the time is right to proceed to ask Trunks about Cell directly, but they are then interrupted by Black's untimely arrival. Feeling incredibly frustrated with the awful timing, 21 immediately rushes towards Goku Black, demanding him to answer for his crimes and destruction of Trunks' future, also wanting to make clear to Trunks that he is a good guy for realsies, which is not something that Black has expected. Your presence reminds me of something. I recognize you somehow. I don't know why, but you posed a challenge for me once. A challenge I wish to take up again. 21 assumes that he's talking about the other Cell, but chooses not to get bogged down in matters. One thing is for sure though, our good boy is strong enough to give Black a run for his money, and a considerable deck in the schnoz, with Beerus realizing that this creature, whatever it is not Goku, as the key is different.
Hey Bugman,
he says. 21 turns around and looks surprised that Beerus addressed him directly.
In a way, you are more Goku than that guy is. You should take it as a compliment.
In an act of desperation, Black destroys Trunks' time machine, dissatisfied that he didn't get a chance to fight with Goku directly, and instead had this weird impulse to fight this second-rate biological mess. The feeling is mutual though, but before 21 can seal the deal, Black gets sucked back into the future, leaving 21 to mutter and curse under his breath that he wanted to finish him off. That's the Saiyan talking within him, I'm sure of it. Whis and Beerus decide to investigate the time ring situation, as it seems to be something worthy of their precious time. and Bulma then works on repairing the time machine that Black destroyed for a future son. Meanwhile, Trunks decides to spend some time with Gohan and his family, like he does in the original, in order to regain some sense of where he is. However, he doesn't come across Gohan at first. Instead, he meets Piccolo, taking care of Mita and Condra, who are in turn playing with Pan. They are still a bit afraid of Trunks, since he gave their father so much grief, so they hide behind their grandfather Piccolo. But Piccolo reassures them that Trunks is not an enemy, and point Trunks towards Gohan. The conversation that Trunks has with the present counterpart of his mentor is pretty similar to what they had in the original story, but he notes that Gohan has started training again, sensing that his power has grown since they last met. In truth, he had dropped a lot in power, but had now gotten it all back again, and seemingly then some. Gohan attributes that chestnut to the likes of Videl, Piccolo, and 21. Trunks is happy to see Gohan playing with his daughter, and attempts to say a proper hello to Mita and Condra. "I heard a lot about you from your dad. You seem pretty cool. I didn't think there could be different kinds of offspring of Cell." With this, they seem less scared this time, and in fact, start to ask a lot of questions about time travel. Whilst Condra mostly asks about Trunks' adventures in the past, Mita is very curious about the technical aspects of time travel itself, keen to figure out how it was possible. "I'm afraid you have to ask Bulma about that. I only know how to steer the thing, and where to put the fuel." Mita's eyes open wide, and she is mesmerized by the idea of learning more. They then get interrupted though by 21, who kindly asks his children to not take up Trunks' time anymore, as he needs to prepare to fight for the future. Trunks says that it's not a problem at all, and thanks 21 for stepping up against Black so quickly. He really appreciated that quick thinking. The kids then ask him about Cell. Trunks looks at 21, who is still trying to keep his cool, but the young man knows how this question must be pretty painful for him. He then responds that he was indeed an evildoer, but was nothing like them. The kids and 21 have heard that part before though. They start to roll their eyes. But Trunks really knows how to establish the difference here. He compares Cell to Black, who's only wearing Goku's face, and that his look doesn't define what he is. Trunks assures them that none of them are like the monster he once faced, and in at least 2 timelines now, he is forever gone. This makes Condra idolize Trunks as this amazing hero, sort of like how Kid Trunks admires Tapion. Immediately after he says his goodbyes to the 21 family, Condra finds himself a stick, which he starts to wield as a pretend sword. Meanwhile, Trunks goes to train with Vegeta. And although 21 could technically defeat Goku Black earlier, he felt that the warrior was holding back somewhat and did not show his entire potential yet. Or at least he didn't get the chance to. He decides to focus on his family and is tasked by Vegeta in staying within the past so he and Gohan could be Earth's defenders just in case Black decides to attack again from behind. Meanwhile, Goku visits Zeno and gets the reset button like in the original story. The 3 Saiyans then go to the future, and things there go very much like they did in the original story, as 21 is not involved, having been tasked to defend present-day Earth. Upon their return, 21 can see that things went badly for them. The look of the friends who got beat up by Black worries him a ton. This isn't right. How could Black be so strong? Black wasn't that strong when they fought before. He can't have been holding back that much, right? Also, initially, he scares Future Mai a little bit. Vegeta exclaims that they need additional help in order to stand a chance. They are going to need 21 as a training partner, as Black is improving faster than they'd anticipated, and the only person who has experience in fighting Black properly is 21. Goku also notes that he is working with someone named Zamasu, a Supreme Kai. 21 nods, as he really wants to help Trunks regain his future, and show his children that they have potential to be heroes. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. So what do you guys think? How do you feel 21 can help in round 2 against Goku Black? Will Mita and Condra play some kind of role themselves? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Merry Christmas and catch you later.